Welcome to the Renewables Roundup, the monthly video that gives you a roundup of all the latest stories from across the US in the world of renewables. I'm your host, Eddie Maunder, Principal Consultant at Coalesce Management Consulting, the renewable energy consultancy who provides engineering, project and construction management services on renewable energy projects globally. This monthly video provides information about new targets, upcoming projects and news from across the US to help make it easier for you to keep up to date with the latest updates. Our top story this month focuses on the solar industry, where US President Joe Biden is to waive tariffs on solar imports from Southeast Asia for the next 2 years. Biden is providing a 2-year tariff exemption for solar modules from Cambodia, Malaysia, Thailand and Vietnam. The tariffs were initially implemented to counter the country's ongoing probe into alleged circumvention of anti-dumping and countervailing duties. The move is likely to be criticised by US domestic solar manufacturers that have sought protection from the alleged circumvention. However, Biden is also reported to be invoking the US Defense Production Act to issue loans and grants in support of solar manufacturing facilities in the US. For our second story, Total Energies will acquire 50% of Clearway Energy Group. Total Energies is establishing a major position in the US renewable energy and storage market. Clearway has 7.7 gigawatts of wind and solar assets in operation, 25 gigawatts of pipeline renewable projects, and 15 gigawatts of those projects are already in an advanced stage of development. National Grid Renewables has purchased 2 gigawatt of First Solar modules for future projects. The thin-film modules will be delivered in 2024 and 2025 as per the terms of the purchase agreement. Nathan Franzen, VP of Development for National Grid Renewables, said, National Grid Renewables and First Solar share more than just deep roots in the US. With a long-standing strategic partnership, we share a common view on the need to create sustainable energy futures. We're pleased to be working with First Solar as we continue on our mission to deploy clean, economically beneficial and community-focused solar energy projects powered by a responsibly produced American solar technology. Georges Antoine, the CEO of First Solar, said, as America's solar energy company, we're proud of the fact that National Grid Renewables has once again selected our technology to power its mission to repower rural American communities. Experienced project developers and owner-operators like National Grid Renewables understand the importance of both insulating themselves from pricing and supply volatility and staying true to their values and principles. Both factors are invaluable in helping them successfully navigate some of the industry's headwinds. Anders Nielsen, the CTO of Vestas, has stated that the wind industry must slow down turbine development and speed up with offshore rollout. Anders stated that the industry should slow down new technology rollouts and focus more on perfecting and improving existing platforms to help push the offshore wind industry forward. To establish the massive build-out of offshore wind, it is key for the industry to mature and prepare for the scalability and localization of offshore wind farms. For this to happen, technology developers across the renewable value chain must be able to capture enough value to reinvest back into scale and innovation. This is critical to ensure that we can grow as an industry and grow quickly enough to remain in line with the increasing energy needs and net zero targets. Optimizing the complete value chain calls for a smarter and more responsible approach to product development. Accelerating build-out requires decreasing the execution time of projects, utilization of existing vessels, and more secure business cases for our customers and the rest of the value chain. The New York State Energy Research and Development Agency has announced it has awarded CS Energy 3 utility-scale solar projects. They will deliver 365 megawatts DC of renewable energy to the state, further establishing CS Energy's position as a leader in the New York State solar industry. Construction on the projects is planned to begin in 2025 and be completed in 2026. The projects are made up of a 216 megawatt, 122 megawatt and 27 megawatt solar projects, all based in upstate New York. Exus Management Partners is partnering with commodities trader Vitol to manage 3 wind farms totaling 244 megawatts in Pennsylvania. Vitol has agreed to acquire the portfolio from a BlackRock managed fund, with the transaction expected to close later this quarter. The Southeast's largest floating solar plant will soon be producing power for the US Army's Fort Bragg in North Carolina. The 1.1 megawatt solar facility is the result of a utility energy service contract with Duke Energy and Ameresco. The floating array is part of a $36 million contract that's focused on the energy resilience and security at Fort Bragg. Finally, the Department of Interior and its Bureau of Ocean Energy Management issues a proposed sale notice for potential commercial wind energy development off California. 23 developers have already qualified to participate in the lease sale and are expected to be put up for auction by the end of this year, which will bring the US its first commercial scale floating offshore wind project. Staying with the offshore wind industry, I will be attending the US Offshore Wind 2022 event in Boston on July 18th and July 19th. If you're attending the event and would like to meet up, please feel free to contact me on LinkedIn. They were the top stories from the US renewables market in June. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, share, comment, or even better, all three. If you have a renewable energy project coming up, CMC provide engineering, construction and project management services to help you deliver your projects ahead of schedule and under budget. For more information, please visit www.cmc-global.consulting or reach out to myself directly on LinkedIn. Thank you for watching. I'm Eddie Maunder and this has been the Renewables Roundup. I hope to see you again next month.